Julius Randle and the New York Knicks continue to dominate the matchup with the Detroit Pistons, winning again, extending their win streak, going all the way back to 2019. Why can't the Pistons beat this team? Why is this such a big mismatch for the Pistons? We're going to talk about that in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Locked On. The Detroit Pistons lose to the New York Knicks again. They have not beaten the New York Knicks since 2019. Andre Drummond had 21 points and 17 rebounds in the Pistons' last win against the New York Knicks. We are now in 2023, and Andre Drummond is a backup on the Chicago Bulls. It's been a long, long time since the Detroit Pistons have beat the Knicks. They've really dominated this matchup. And I know the Pistons only lost by 13. Only 13. At one point in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, it was a 7-point game. I have no clue how that was. This game was not as close as the score makes it seem. The Knicks were in control of this game all the way up until the end, where the Pistons kind of made it a little bit of a game, and then the Knicks just extended it. The Knicks dominated this game. The biggest bright spot from this game for the Detroit Pistons, before we get into why this is such a big mismatch for the Pistons, is I think they probably had one of their best defensive quarters of the year in the second quarter. They only allowed 23 points from the New York Knicks. So that was great to see them turn up the defense in that second quarter, with Kevin Knox playing at the 5 because they were without so many of their big men again. So that was cool to see. But outside of that, the Pistons just continued to get dominated by this matchup. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are asking, why can't the Detroit Pistons beat the Knicks? And why, when the Pistons go against the Knicks, it's so convincing when they lose. Like, it's not a close game. It's not like they're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The Knicks just seem like they pummeled them from the get-go. And I feel like the biggest mismatch here, and the biggest reason why this is the front court. Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson. I feel like they dominate their matchup every time the Pistons play. Julius Randle dominates offensively, and Mitchell Robinson really dominates defensively. And Mitchell Robinson had 3 blocks immediately to start the game, immediately in the first quarter. And then after that, the Pistons just stopped challenging him. The few times they did, he just deterred shots. But most of the part, after that first quarter, the Pistons just stopped challenging him. And I don't blame him. He was dominating the paint on that defensive end. So I think those two guys right there really, really dominate the Pistons a lot when they go against each other. Julius Randle had 42 points in this game, 15 rebounds, 15 of 24 from the field. He's having a good season, but it really does feel like when he goes against the Pistons, he gets up for it. And I don't know why that is, but he dominates that matchup against the Pistons. And that right there is the biggest reason why I feel like the Pistons lose these games against the Knicks. The Pistons, I should say, don't have that kind of size, especially tonight or earlier today. I'm recording this at night, but they played earlier in the day at 1 Eastern time. This game, they were without Jalen Duren. They were without Nerlens Noel, who I just now found out about 30 minutes ago. All day, I've been thinking that the Pistons just chose not to play him. And I was going to come on the podcast and be like, that doesn't really make much sense to me. But I found out before the game, or right before we started recording this, I saw a tweet that said that Dwayne Casey said after the game, he was notified right before tip-off that Nerlens Noel would not be playing because he had soreness in his knee. So that's why Nerlens Noel did not play. Jalen Duren did not play. Marvin Bagley obviously is still out. So the Pistons were out there with Isaiah Stewart and Isaiah Livers at their big man positions. And that's just, you're going to be undersized against those guys. Julius Randle is not the tallest dude, but he just plays much bigger than he is, and he plays very physical. And then Mitchell Robinson is just a beast on the defensive end of the court. So that the Pistons didn't have all of their all their guys tonight to go up against that matchup. But even when they have, that matchup's dominated it, and I don't know what the Pistons could really do against the Knicks to stop that outside of just flat out double team them. Which at one point in this game, the Pistons did start outright double teaming Julius Randle and outright double teaming Jalen Brunson. I wouldn't say it necessarily worked. Emmanuel quickly ended up going off for 17. RJ Barrett had 13. Not a great game from him. Quentin Grimes only had 11 points for him. So the Pistons tried to double team them and make it a little bit tougher on those guys. And for what it's worth, I guess maybe it did work a little bit because the Knicks did not end up scoring over 30 points again in a quarter after that first quarter where they dropped 39. But nonetheless, after that, it was already too far ahead for the Knicks and the Pistons. It was going to be hard for them to catch up. That right there is why I feel like the Knicks are just going to be a pain in the Pistons side for until the Pistons really get, Jalen Duren, and if they were to get obviously if they would get Victor Wembanyama in the draft, hopefully that kind of thing would change. But especially when you're down Jalen Duren and you're down Nerlens Noel and you're down Marvin Bagley, I know none of those guys outside Nerlens Noel. I know outside of Nerlens Noel, none of those guys are like fantastic defenders. Duren hopefully will become a fantastic defender, but none of them are really great ones right now. So I feel like whether they had their bodies or not, it was going to be a tough matchup, just like it usually is for the Pistons against the New York Knicks. And that's why the Pistons lost this game. They stayed in this game because they hit 18 threes. They were really hitting from beyond the arc, especially Saddiq Bey, who went 5 of 10 from deep. And also Kevin Knox, 3 of 4 from deep in a revenge game against the Knicks. He played really well, but 3-pointers kept the Pistons in this game. But outside of that, this really was not that close of the game. The Knicks really dominated Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. Both of those guys have had really, really damn good nights, and the Pistons didn't have any answers for them. The Pistons look lazy, maybe not lazy, a little bit, and what's the best word? I don't want to call anyone late. I would never want to call like a player straight up lazy. But they didn't look like they had a ton of effort in this game. And I think it maybe is because they're going to Paris after this game. I think that had a little bit to do with it. I'm not going to lie. But the Knicks definitely just had more effort. They played more physical. They wanted this a little bit more than the Pistons. And that was all on display in this game. Hopefully the Pistons show up in Paris. They obviously are going back to where Killian's from. So, hopefully they get up for that and Killian gets up for that. So hopefully that game goes a little bit better. But yeah, the matchup against the Knicks is just going to be a tough one for the Pistons, especially when they're down big guys. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to guard those guys. So that right there is the main reason why the Pistons lost. But when we come back, there's a few things that I want to talk about that were highlighted in this game. And the first thing we're going to talk about when we come back is why this game really put on display, while he has improved, just how much more he needs to improve. And that is Killian Hayes, and why it put his weaknesses on display. And games like this put his weaknesses on display. He still has a lot of ways to go, even with this major improvement he's made. I want to talk about that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is my favorite daily fantasy option. So, for example, today, NFL playoffs are on and the Pistons are on. So let's say I want to take the over on Jane Ivey's points. I want to take the over on Josh Allen's points. I also want to take the over on, Tyreek Hill's receiving yards. I want to do all of that, but I also want to put it into the exact same entry. I can do that over at PrizePicks. You simply pick 2 to 6 players and see if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection. You can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy, safe, and fast. Withdrawals currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to PrizePicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports today. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100 at PrizePicks.com. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right, so you had some good performances in this game. Like I said, from Kevin Knox off the bench against the Knicks, his former team. Alec Burks played well. I thought Jane Ivey played a little bit better in the second half, but he was inefficient in this game too. Killian Hayes had a really tough night, which we're about to talk about. And there's a few guys I want to talk about later, and Isaiah Livers and Sadiq Bey. We'll talk about them later. But this game really highlighted, and there's been a few other games too, but this game I feel like really highlighted just how much more Killian Hayes needs to improve if he wants to reach, obviously, the ceiling that he believes he has, the ceiling that I believe he has, and the ceiling a lot of his fans believe he can get to. Now, I just want to say this. His improvement has still been extraordinary. His improvement has still been great to see. And if he continues to play how he's played the past 2 months, the rest of the year, he still has shown really good stuff to make you, unless the draft changes stuff, really consider should he be starting next season opposite Kate Cunningham. Like, he's making that conversation if he continues to play like he has over the last 2 months, the rest of the year. Nonetheless, he's played really well, really, really well. But tonight against the Knicks really showcased his weaknesses and why these specific weaknesses have to be addressed if he wants to really get to where he wants to go. And what I'm talking about is his over-reliance now on his outside shot and his mid-range shot. Now, look, it's great. I love the fact that he's been one of the best pull-up shooters in the NBA since November 2nd. I believe James Edwards tweeted this stat out that he was like 7th in dribble pull-up percentages across the league since November 2nd or so. I love that fact. I love the fact that he's becoming a really, really good shooter, especially off the dribble in the mid-range. I love that. That's big time. And that the fact that he's able to become such a reliable pull-up shooter in the mid-range really speaks to the idea that he'll be able to become a pull-up shooter from beyond the arc. We've even seen him start to hit some of those step backs, the pull-up threes. That really speaks to in the future, he could be a legit threat pull-up off the dribble from outside, off pick and rolls when guys go underneath. And that's big time too. However, in games like this, when you are struggling to hit your outside shot, because guys are going to have times when they just can't hit outside shots. It happens to everybody. Sometimes you're just off that game. But for Killian, when he's not hitting that outside shot, when he's struggling to hit his three, when he's struggling to hit his mid-range shot, when he's not hitting them as much with that much consistency within a game, his inability to consistently finish around the rim and his complete, I think it's okay for me to say, his complete inability to draw fouls really, really, really pops off the charts. Like, very much so. And that right there is why even those two reasons is why even over this stretch, over the past 2 months, why he still hasn't been the most efficient player. And that's because he can't get to the free throw line and he can't consistently finish around the rim. Now, I know against the Pelicans last game, he showed some, against the Pelicans and the Jazz, I should say, he showed some real improvement or some flashes finishing around the rim, getting all the way to the rim, being crafty with his finishes, etc. I know that's the case, but consistently throughout the year, more times than not, he's not been able to really finish around the rim, and he definitely can't draw free throws. And that's why it's so important. This is why it's so important for scorers, for guys to be able to draw fouls, is because when you're not making outside shots, when you're not able to hit pull-up shots, you have to find ways of getting easy shots for yourself, of making life easier on you. And, okay, I'm not hitting my outside shot. How else can I get on the board? How else can I put pressure on the defense? And as you see across the league and all the mega stars, all the really good scorers, they can get to the rim, they can finish, and they can draw fouls. There's many games where you'll see guys end up with 21 points, 20-plus points, and they shoot like 35% from the field. It doesn't matter because they drew 9 free throws and hit 9 free throws. And that's still an efficient night because of how much they were able to get to the free throw line. And that really, I feel like this game really showcased that for Killian Hayes. He was, within this game, he was 4 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from deep. He had only 9 points. He did have 9 assists to 1 turnover, but I'm not going to pay too much attention to that. We know that he has a great assist to turnover ratio on the year over the last 2 months. That's really damn good. But 4-14. And look, a lot of the shots I thought were good shots. A lot of the shots were open. He just wasn't hitting from outside tonight. But Killian Hayes as a guard, as a guy, especially as a guard, if you're going to have the ball in your hands that much, and you're going to be running pick and rolls, and you're going to be looking for your shot, he absolutely has to develop his finishing around the rim. And even more than that, he has to draw some free throws, man. Not being able to draw free throws makes your life so much harder as a scorer, as a guy with the ball in your hands, as a primary ball handler. It's so hard to score consistently in the NBA if you're simply just relying on jump shots. It's tough. It's hard to do. Remember Cade Cunningham's rookie year. We complained nonstop about how he was getting no foul calls. He needs foul calls. He's not being respected, et cetera, et cetera. And you see all kinds of people talk about his efficiency issues from his rookie year. I would argue a lot of that is because he just wasn't able to draw free throws. I don't know what Cade can do about that, but that's just a highlight that if he was able to draw free throws and some of those misses at the rim, if the refs were able to give Cade some damn respect on some calls and let him get some free throws, I'm telling you, you're looking at Cade and we're not having those efficiency concerns. It's only because he's not able to draw free throws. Now, Cade has some inconsistency shooting-wise, but again, if he was able to draw free throws and make some free throws, he can make free throws. He's struggling to draw them. His efficiency would look way different. And the same thing for Killian Hayes, and the same thing for guys like another guy across the league who throughout his career just hasn't been able to really consistently draw free throws and be a real threat around the rim is D'Angelo Russell. Especially, he draws free throws better than Killian Hayes. Like this year, he's drawing free throws 3.1 free throws a game. At one point in his career, he was drawing 4.4 free throw attempts a game. That year, he was with Golden State. But when he was like the guy in Brooklyn, like his best year, he was only drawing 2 free throws a game in 2018-19. Then 17-18, his time with Brooklyn, he was only drawing 2 free throws a game. And even now, he's only drawing 3 free throws a game, and he's a really good scorer. He's a really good pull-up shooter. He's a really good three-point shooter. He's really good at hitting contested mid-range jumpers. But he's never going to be able to. That's the biggest drawback to guys like that. You're never going to be able to be a primary scorer, a primary ball handler, if you're not going to be able to consistently put pressure on the rim scoring-wise and draw free throws. So that was my biggest takeaway from this game, is that you really saw on full attack, I should say. And the reason for it is because Mitchell Robinson was at the rim, really taking away all the. Killian tried driving to the rim at the beginning of this game and laying the ball up, and Mitchell Robinson just sent it out of bounds. Like it's not going to happen. So draw some free throws, draw some contact, get physical. And we started to see Killian take 2. I saw him take 2 layups today where he was falling away from the rim. After he got blocked by Mitchell Robinson, you started to see him fall away from the rim instead of trying to get physical and draw free throws. So that's the next step of his game, man. It's cool to see that he's developed as a mid-range shooter. It's cool he's developed as a three-point shooter. Like that's legit stuff. That's really good to see. He can be a 2-level scorer, but that caps your ceiling. That caps how much you can be. Now, this is fine for the rest of this year. It's fine. You just want to see him continue to be a 2-level scorer and play really well like that for the rest of this year, and that will be a major plus. It is. That's a major plus. But next year and for the rest of his career, and specifically in this offseason, the focus needs to be finishing around the rim, drawing contact, and getting to the free throw line. That is the biggest weakness in his game. It was on full display in this game against the New York Knicks. He needs to go talk to Saddiq Bey, who does a tremendous job at drawing free throws and selling contact. I don't know where Saddiq learned it from. He was not doing that his rookie year, but he's absolutely fantastic at that now. And that's one of the biggest reasons why Saddiq, despite the fact that his outside shot has been so inconsistent, he still maintained around okay efficiency on the year. So, yeah, that was my biggest takeaway from the game. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Cougar Hill. When we come back, the Pistons lost this game pretty convincingly, but there were 2 bright spots in this game. And if you're not looking at it from a Killian Hayes perspective that, wow, his weaknesses really were on full display here, he has to improve in this stuff. If you want to look somewhere else, there was another big takeaway to have from this game that was positive. And we'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, Built Bar. Are you looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all the fat and calories? Then you gotta try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays. I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier, but don't want to compromise taste, then man, I got the thing for you. You gotta try Built Bar. With Built Bar, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious, you won't think they're good for you, but they actually are. They're perfect for your New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like candy bars while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy for you. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been telling you to go on Built.com to order your Built Bars, but now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right, head to the nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. And if you're close to a Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later. Make sure you're testing out Built Bar. Go head up to Sam's Club, Walmart, or at Built.com to have the best tasting protein bar ever in Built Bar. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right, so a few positives in this game that I really want to stick with. Now, obviously, Kevin Knox, he had a really good game against his former team, but I don't know if all of you guys really care about that. He's a rotational player, and when guys get back healthy, I don't know if he's even going to get minutes. Now that Diallo's been playing really well, so I don't know if I'm going to focus too much on that. But it's cool to see Kevin Knox play well against his former team. I'm sure that was big for him. So definitely, I don't want to act just like poo-poo that. It was cool to see that for sure. But outside of what we just talked about in that last segment, two of the biggest takeaways I had, and they were pretty positive takeaways. Because I don't want to just continue to take negative takeaways. This team's bad. It's hard to find positive takeaways. But Isaiah Livers has come back, and his shot just wasn't on since returning. Now, it's not like he's been back for weeks and months or something. But, it is true that Isaiah Livers hasn't been hitting his shots like a lot of us, probably would like to see him do since coming back. And on the year, he's only shooting 35% from deep. Last year, he was shooting around 40%. And over the last 2 games, he was 1 of 5 from deep combined. This game, he started because Bojan Bogdanovic also was out with a stomach illness. Non-flu or non-COVID illness, just a little stomach virus. He missed this game. And Isaiah Livers got this start. And in this game, I thought Isaiah Livers played easily the best defense of anybody on Jalen Brunson in that second half. I thought he made life extremely hard on Jalen Brunson. Stayed in front of him, stayed on the ground, played really, really well defensively, I thought. And then offensively, he hit 3 of 8 of his three-point attempts. 4 of 9 from the field, but 3 of 8 from deep. He started to get his shot going. That's 37% within the game. That's probably the biggest positive that I can take away from this game, because the Pistons desperately have missed Isaiah Livers' archetype. And I say archetype because last year's Isaiah Livers, they were missing that. But to start the year, yes, his archetype was needed, but he actually just wasn't playing up to that standard that we thought he was going to live at, or play at, I should say. If Isaiah Livers can get back to what we expected him to play like at the beginning of this year, the Pistons desperately need that. They have desperately needed somebody on the wing to play defense and hit outside shots consistently. A guy who can play team defense, can rotate well, stay in front of his man, which Isaiah Livers does pretty well. And he's actually a sneaky athlete defensively. He had another block tonight. It's kind of crazy. I did not see this athleticism defensively in his rookie year, but then summer league and then the beginning of this year, preseason, and then even as recently as this game, he makes some pretty damn good plays by being pretty damn athletic. So defensively, he was played really well. And then offensively, he was hitting his outside shots. He played 39 minutes, the most minutes of any Piston in the game. And in the game they lost by 13, he played the most minutes, and the Pistons were a -3 in his minutes. That matches the eye test. He played really, really well. He had 11.6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. It was an all-around really good game for Livers. And that right there If they can get that from Isaiah Livers, if Livers is going to start playing like that and get closer back to what he was last year, maybe even get better, because I know he put a lot of work in this offseason. We had his trainer on the podcast in the offseason talk about how much effort and how much work he put into the offseason. I know he's put in the work to have a good year. So if he can play like this and this, being able to hit some outside shots sparks his turnaround this year, that would be big time for the Pistons. They desperately have needed that. And he could be the answer. The answer could be on their team in Isaiah Livers. So watch that for the rest of the year, especially this next upcoming few weeks. See how Isaiah Livers plays, because he just had a really good game against the Knicks. And then the other bright spot within this game was Saddiq Bey, who had 5 threes within this game. He had a few in the first quarter. He went a little cold after that. But nonetheless, he was 5 of 10 from deep. He had 21 points and 6 rebounds. The biggest thing with Saddiq is that you want to see his outside shot fall. His outside shot, he has to go back. He has to get back to being a sniper. He has to get back to being a legitimate spacing threat and a legitimate shooting threat from beyond the arc. And he did that within this game. And since December 1st, Saddiq Bey has been shooting 37% from deep on 5 attempts. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, remember before the year, we talked about that we didn't want him to be hovering around 40% this year. Now, since December 1st, he's shooting 39% from the field. But you're getting 37% from deep. And it's good to see that from Saddiq. I'm happy that he was hitting his outside shot, because the Pistons desperately need that. And he was probably one of the biggest reasons why they stayed in this game relatively, I guess, according to them. Like, they felt like they were still in the game because of the score, was because he contributed with the outside shooting. The Pistons hit 18 threes. He hit 5 of them. So that's a big reason why they stayed, I guess, somewhat in this game. But it really is just confusing to me with Saddiq. Saddiq is so confusing, because it's like when he's shooting well at the rim and he's drawing free throws, he can't hit a shot from outside. Now he's shooting pretty well from outside, 37% since December 1st, but now he's shooting under 40% from the overall field. So now it's just like it's like you're either getting his outside shot one game and no inside, or you're getting the inside and no outside. Saddiq's such a confusing player, man. But I want to give him his credit for this game, because, again, his 5 3-pointers were one of the main reasons why the Pistons were in this game, and he showed up there on the offensive end for the majority of this game. But that's basically all I've got for you guys. The Detroit Pistons, again, they don't play until Wednesday. They go against the Chicago Bulls in Paris. So stay tuned for that. Or Thursday. I'm sorry, Thursday. Thursday they play Chicago in Paris. And then after that, they don't play again till Monday. So they should have plenty of rest. Guys should be able to get healthier. And not even just talking about for the Bulls game, but their game next week. They're going to have like a whole 8 days really to just relax and try to get healthier. So hopefully Bojan, his illness goes away. Bagley can get a little bit healthier. Duren can get a little bit healthier. Noel can get a little bit healthier. So hopefully that stuff can happen. But that's all I've got for you guys today, man. Let me know what you guys thought about this game and what you guys' takeaways were from the Pistons losing yet again to New York Knicks. Let me know all that in the comment section down below, or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Hit that subscribe button at the YouTube channel. Leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe, go Pistons, and peace out.